so she's not
Oh,
gonna make it, unfortunately. Just
okay.
so
Well,
you know.
I'm recording it, so she'll be able to watch.
Oh, perfect.
Okay. Um, Adrian, how about I just share my screen? Did you give me permission to share screen?
Yes.
All right.
Oh, wait a minute. I did co-host, but I didn't do that other part.
Okay.
Where is that?
It's on the share on the little arrow to the right.
On the share, on the little arrow to the right. What
See,
arrow?
There's a
see the
share.
green light? The green light that shows up when you hit share?
Oh, got it. Oh, wait. I'm sorry. I skipped right over that with my eyeballs. I got it. There it is. That's so
Okay.
weird. Or no, you know what? That wasn't there at the beginning because it's very green. Okay.
All right, we
Okay.
good?
Yes.
Let's see what I got in here. I can share this. And I am going to go right here. Okay. And that is one of Adrian's pictures that was not shot that night up on the screen. All right. Now, so let me start with everybody this way. And I talked with David and I talked with Adrian for quite a while. I used to be physical education teacher, athletic director, coach, blah, 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 blah. Here's the bottom line of it. I walked away from this after seeing all the pictures and I was upset. I was disappointed, not with you, not with anybody, but with myself, because I think we, as three masters who went on that shoot, myself, David, Adrian, we didn't communicate well enough with you and we dropped the ball. So this is one of these things where these pictures, unlike the architecture pictures, where I really was pleased with where everybody was headed, I wasn't with this, and it wasn't because anybody did anything wrong. We didn't give you the right leadership here.
I can't.
Okay, so here we go. First of all, when we went on the shoot, I think we should have stayed together. When I noticed David and I kind of went in one direction, then everybody kind of followed Adrian. Adrian had a course in mind, a plot in mind, and the pack kind of went in a direction. And when we did that, what we lost with that was the ability to have more hands-on with each one of you about what are you seeing, how to help you find a composition, how to help you see the light, and how to help you with your camera settings and your focal points so that basically, and your patience with where the light was. So we lost that when we split from you. David and I found that if you notice that we came back to dinner when everybody was kind of waiting and you were online, you were waiting to be seated, David and I came back last. And the reason we were last is because we knew the light didn't give us what we needed until quite a bit later than the rest of you. You headed for the meal, we headed for the blue light. So that's part of it. The other part was, in terms of what to shoot, blue light was not the focus. The focus had to be on a composition, on a subject, but the blue light gives you the drama where if you shoot in blue light, which is really deep, dark blue after the sun goes down, and it's a tough shoot. It really is because you've got darks and you've got lights on. So that makes it difficult for you and it makes it difficult for the camera. And in most cases, the camera will not get it. It requires editing in almost all cases. You won't really be happy with what your camera gets with it. So in this case, I feel that your architecture that you all did so well with for the month, those architecturally, if you had a kind of focused on something up in the sky, I could have been a tree. If you focus just on clouds on the beach, and Dave and I did too, we went down to the beach, we found those beautiful clouds. But if you focus on just the clouds, while they're pretty, it doesn't give you the contrast between a subject and the pretty blue light behind it. So we went looking and we saw the church that was back behind Deck 84. We were in the same area you were. We just went around to Deck 84. We saw that steeple and we knew the steeple was very high. So we knew one or two things was going to happen. The light came from the sun sets in the west. So the light over the ocean was darker. The light over the town, as you look back towards town on the east, was lighter. If you picked a subject and shot that way, east, then you didn't get the blue light. Now, when you got to the intercoastal on the top of the walkway, if you shot down the intercoastal a little bit, maybe more down the river, including some of the river, you might have gotten some of the blue light leaking in from the left. But if you shot the other way, you were going to get too much light. And therefore, it just became a normal, everyday blue sky. So that was part of it. So what we did was we walked all around that church and went back to it because the light wasn't right in the beginning. We went to the beach, we walked around, we went to the bar, not to drink this time, but to go see what was in the bar, which was that little place down the avenue has a great little old eclectic bar in there. And then we went back to the church. And then all of a sudden the light changed. The lights came on in the church and it gave you a whole different image a half hour later. And then we walked around the side of it to get it and shot it from the back and shot it from the front. And each time the light changed, depending upon where the sunset was. So that was something that we didn't give you, and we should have been able to give you that to you. So I feel badly about that, okay? The other thing is that...
But I think it's important to say, too, that when you're dealing with something with blue light, it changes pretty quickly.
Yeah.
It's not like you have an hour to shoot it. So it's kind of, we were talking about, if we had told everyone, as Anne said, to pick a piece of architecture, and if we all hung around there, we could have shot it all from different angles, and just waited for the light to change.
And then we could have had you come back to us. And you would have shown us in your viewfinder what you just shot. And then we could have questioned and played the mind game with you about what was your intent, what were you looking to capture, where was the light, what were your camera settings, where did you focus? And we might have been able to really make this a different shoot. So in that way, Adrian and I and David all feel that you didn't have what you needed from us. And so we apologize for that. And we're going to fix it, okay? The other thing I'm going to tell you is that a lot of people don't yet understand the nature of the relationship between aperture, shutter speed, and ISO. When you shoot with an iPhone, most of you that have the iPhone, you point the iPhone up there and you let it tell you what it's doing. You don't really control with the iPhone. You're not going into an app in the iPhone. You're not changing your shutter speed. You're not changing your aperture. You're just letting the iPhone make the decision, which is okay. But there is a way to use your iPhone to focus and with your thumb manipulate the light a little bit better. But relative to the iPhone, if you just shoot clouds with an iPhone and you don't have any other subject in there, the iPhone has a problem with the pixels that are so far away, especially if you zoom and try to get in closer to a given cloud formation. Your iPhone is going to let you down. It's just not going to do it. But if you had the steeple of the church and focused on that, or let's say the top of the water tower behind the railroad trestle, then you would have had all the blue light in the world up there, and you could have focused on the tower, and then you would have had a different kind of picture. So that's where we're going. But so let me ask a couple of questions to all of you. If those three factors, I think we all understand, aperture, shutter speed, and ISO, all contribute in the triangle to give you a balanced exposure. And all you need to understand is this. If you are shooting something that is right in front of you and flat, like a person against the wall, a sign on the wall, something that doesn't have any depth of field to it, if you're shooting that way and your aperture goes all the way down, is the faster, the 2.0, which we call wide open, allows a lot more light than, let's say, f8 or f16. So if you go down to 2.8, you're going to get more light, but you're not going to get the depth of field. Now, what happens if you're looking to shoot something that has a long depth of field? You won't be able to go down to 2.8. So now you can't let as much light in. How else can you get the light? You can get the light by reducing your shutter speed, and you slow your shutter speed down, and you allow the shutter to be open longer to gather in more light. And when that happens, then you get blur. That's the other thing that happens. So you all know if you go and you try to hand hold a camera and you go slow your shutter speed too much, you're going to have blur. You're going to have a dreamy look or a downright blurred. Your focus, your subject will not be in focus. So the last thing is, if you don't want to drop your shutter speed where you lose clarity, and you can't drop your aperture any lower because you don't have a lens that will do it, or because your iPhone is stuck on f8, then what option do you have? What the cameras will do is they'll adjust the ISO. And when you adjust ISO to a faster ISO or higher ISO, with that comes noise. And most of you are having trouble getting rid of noise. So that is part of what we're going to see in these pictures. And when we go through the editing, we're going to show you how to get rid of noise. All of you will be able to do that. That's our job, to get that to happen when we start getting into these editing workshops. And there's various ways to do that. But so what we saw was a lack of composition, a lack of focus, more noise in some of the pictures, and you didn't know where the light was. So that's kind of what we saw here. So moving forward with this, what I want to have happen is David and I and Adrian talked. Adrian and I went to a workshop a long time ago when I first started. And yes, I submitted pictures and I did shows that I had what I would call epic failures. I mean, my pictures that sometimes when I submit them now to the art of photography, they're still epic failures at that level. But everybody has these pictures where you submit when you're learning, and they're just not what you kind of hope they would be, and you have to swallow it and learn. So moving forward, what we want to do is, Adrian and I had a class where this guy went down, he was a good photographer, and he put us down by the train tracks, by the water tower, and he sat down on a park bench and he said to us, okay, everybody's here. Here's your subject. Here's the area. Everybody's got within 50 feet, shoot something and bring it back to us and show us what you got. And we would then shoot something and he would say, let me see. And we'd go over and we'd let him see it. And he would say to us, you didn't get it. He goes, yeah, well, that's every day's picture. That's the same picture that everybody shoots. How else could you shoot this? What else can you do with this? What else could you have done different with it? If we had done that with you with, let's say, the church or the water tower with the blue light, it would have worked. We would have had you right where we needed you to be, and you would have understood it. Okay, you would have understood it. So we're looking for that to happen, and we're going to go back. And David and I said, we've got 2 or 3 spots down in the same area we were in, and we'll show you our shots. And we're going to, hopefully, those who want to move forward, you come down with us, and we're going to spend time just with you and your settings and your cameras, focusing on that. And I think that will help everybody bring you forward. And the other thing is, I want you to also be aware that when we show other images that we shoot, we're not showing them to you because we want to show you how good we are. Has nothing to do with that. You need, like we need, which is why we do the art of photography, we need to see other people's work. We need to see what they're doing. We need to hear the critiques on that. And we need to see things that motivate us, where you are motivated to shoot and make improvements in your photography. And if you don't see better work, it can't happen. So you got to see better work. All right. So that's where we are. So here we go. I'm going to start on this picture here. And I believe this picture was Stewart's, that was called Anchors Away. Yes.
Yes.
And everybody got that? Can you see it?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So,
I can feed her.
and the other thing I'm going to
Now
let happen
we'll
here, I want something else to happen here.
Somebody
Uh-huh.
else is talking. We can't do that.
Oh, all right, hold on. What I want to see happen here is the masters are going to make comments on this, okay? And then what I want to have happen is, if there are questions from the originator, Stewart, if you have questions about what we're telling you and what we're asking you to do, or what else maybe we could see, ask us. Comment on that. Come back to us, okay? I think you'll learn more. All right, so let's go. Adrian, you want to take a crack at this picture?
Yes. Basically, I like this picture. I like I'm into hardware, so I thought that the chain itself was a really good picture. And I might have edited it a little bit differently. I might have cropped it a little differently, but it doesn't meet what we were trying to do. So it doesn't use or show us what happens with blue light. It's just a photograph. And I think that it also could have been, you could have worked on the area if you know how to edit and you want to try some cool editing. I would have worked on the area of the chain a little more. I think the information is there. I just would have worked on it a little bit more and maybe cropped away some of the extraneous parts. Deciding what to include and what to not include is really important in giving you a final result.
Yeah, the only editing I know how to do now in playing with this, and I just got the software, is I'm a cropper. That's about
Right.
it. The other things I'm not really savvy with. yet.
Stuart, we're going to fix it.
Yeah, and
Okay.
you're going to be blown away about how easy it is.
All
Yeah.
right, David, I know that, David, I asked you to edit this picture. You want to give me a shot at what you thought about it as original here?
Yeah, I mean, I actually think what Anne said, the blue, the blue light would be in the eastern sky, but we are seeing from the western sky, we are seeing the sun really bright on that building. So I think if we had waited till later, you would have gotten a really good contrast between that building and the blue sky. I really like the composition of the chain too. The the only thing that threw me, and I know that's what it was on there, were those colored lights. I thought that was a mistake that I made
Oh,
when I started playing with it. But I think even leaving the picture as is, I would, as Adrian said, you'll see how easy it is to just add a little more shadow to this, because I think there's something really intriguing about the chain and the composition of the different lines going in different directions. So when I just took a shot at playing with it, I was making it almost more of a silhouette, so that you just saw like an inkling of I'm not saying this is perfect or good necessarily. I was trying to make the sky blue, but I kind of thought that there were some nice highlights in the chains, and I didn't spend a lot of time on this, but I think there's something about making that more silhouette-y. That's just my opinion.
Okay, so my thing of looking at this like Adrian, I thought, Stuart, I like the fact that you went for the composition of you went for the chain. That's what you're going for. You went for the anchor and the chain. And I think chain and the smooth circle on the top of that and some of the shadow and some of the contrast in the chain was really, really a great thought. I think here's the thing, patience. We went out looking for blue light. We didn't have blue light then. There was no blue light. Okay. So you were picking and thinking about what else can I shoot while I'm waiting for the blue light? And then maybe I'll come back to something later if I find it and say, yeah, that would be better when the light changes. So not having the blue light at this point, I think your idea of going for the chain to make a good composition and make the shot was there. I think this is for me, remove tool. We're going to teach you how to take and remove some of this stuff and make a little crop and maybe just focus more, bring the focus more in here and take some of the extraneous stuff out of it. You don't want to have to do that. You want to be able to shoot and compose the shot without the clutter. But where you were, I know where you were, and there's no way else that you could have done that unless you climbed on the guy's boat. So it wasn't going to happen. Okay. But it was okay, because then you work on this and you learn with your editing skills and you say, how could I have gotten that shot without having to go through all the editing to get it to happen? So idea I thought was good. That's my thinking. Ira, got a thought?
No, again, I wasn't involved in the blue light, but I think that there's something here to work with. And I think that the basic shot is a good shot with a little bit of editing, but the concept was there.
Concept was there. So my hat's off to you. I like the thought of it. I really do.
Thank you.
This next shot was called Blue Hour Clouds. Okay, comments. Here we go. Nobody edited this. Except I did edit it. I just took out some noise, but there wasn't a lot of noise in it. So we have thoughts. Dave, Adrian, want to go with this? Ira?
I guess for me, yeah, you could deepen the blues, but it also came across as very grainy, and I know that's part of using an old iPhone. But we can show you how to get rid of some of that grain.
So this is what happens in my mind. Yes, this was shot. Lori Block shot it with an iPhone 10. She got. I think this was Lori's shot.
Yes.
So it's limited as far as when you try to close in on a certain part or a certain cloud, that iPhone doesn't have the pixels to do it. If you look up here, you can see some of what it was doing. Yes, you can say, all right, you see all these pixels? If I blow it up, look at this. You see the squares? Can you see that on your screen? There's
No.
little squares
Oh, some
Yes,
of them
I can
in the
see it.
cloud.
over here. Maybe
Yeah.
you can see this little line. Okay,
In the cloud.
that's pixelated. That's because there's not enough resolution to take an iPhone, shoot at the sky, and then crop it. Especially, by the way, if you have an iPhone, do not crop in the phone before you take the picture. Don't spread it and then say, oh, good, now it's zoomed in the way I want. Now push the button. Don't do that. Crop it after you shoot it. Okay, so you save those pixels. But anyway, that's something we'll get into later. But so it was a choice about trying to zero in on too much without having the camera to do it. So we're going to work on that one. This is
But
another.
I just want, let's go back
Sure.
1 second because I know that she's going to watch this. The really nice thing is that she knew in her eye what was interesting in the colors and the
Yep.
choice of what section she chose to show us. I don't know
Yes.
if that's good English, but the
Yes.
purples and the oranges and the little bit of light on the top of the bottom cloud were the right parts of the cloud formation to choose.
Right.
It's just she
Beautiful.
didn't have the technical stuff.
And I have a question that you might or might not have the answer to. I just got a 16 Pro Max phone, and it has a continuous zoom on there. Do you know
Yeah.
what when you're between what used to be the 1, the 2, the 3, and now they have a 5?
The 16 shoots at 4. If you set it properly, the 16 will shoot at the wide angle and telephoto angle at the same maximum pixels. Before, what would happen if you use the wide angle lens or you use the telephoto lens on the 15, it dropped it back down to less pixels. It wasn't the 45. So on the 16, I believe they fixed that. So you're going to have more pixels when you go to shoot this than Lori would have at that. I don't know if that helps you, Ira, but I think that's one of the things they resolved on it.
Well, my question.
You have to set it, by the way, so that you are asking it to shoot at maximum capability.
They'll be shooting raw, right?
It doesn't necessarily have to be raw. You can tell it in the JPEG setting or the HiAx setting how to really maximize it out with a lot of pixels. What RAW does is RAW gives you the ability to save some whites and save some blacks. You can recover things you would have lost in color and in exposure that you can't with JPEG. And the other thing that a JPEG format does, and Leslie, this would be for you with your new camera. If
Yes.
you shoot JPEG and you shoot with your iPhone and JPEG, and you have the ability to shoot RAW, but you don't, and you shoot JPEG, what it does is it allows the camera to control the color and a lot of the exposure settings. Not so much the exposure settings, but white balance. A lot of things get controlled by the software within the camera. If you shoot RAW, you're telling the camera you're not going to use anything to edit this. What you're going to see is what the naked eye sees. And then from there, you have to edit more.
Right.
Okay, I don't know if that helps with that, but
No, you explained
get
that
more
once before to
pixels.
me. Yeah.
so I'm going to go to this next picture because this is also Lori.
And before you do that,
Go ahead, Jim.
what is happening in an iPhone when you're using the continuous zoom and it's somewhere between, say, the normal lens and the telephoto lens? What's happening optically, or where's the software deciding?
What iPhone, Jim, are you shooting with?
15.
I think that my 15, when I start to zoom, I think it reduces the pixels. So the way you would know that is shoot 3 pictures. Shoot one at one focal length, one at another, and one at another. Put them in your put them in the thing and find out how many pixels and what the resolution is. And then you'll know. I think the 15 doesn't give it to you. The 14 does not. The 16, I know they fixed that. So this one, they're getting better and better. They just haven't figured it out yet. This, all right, I think, and I did shoot the same way. Dave and I were up at West Palm one night walking around, and I shot the tree up in the sky. Only it was blue light. Again, the blue light wasn't here yet. It was too soon. But if the blue light was there and she shot up into the tree and there was a little light coming through the tree, it would have been nice. My only thing is there was no blue light, but what should have happened here was we needed the thumb to select the tree as the focal point. I think the camera decided to shoot infinity and shoot up here, and it didn't give clarity in the detail in the palm.
Okay, so I don't think they understand what you're saying.
All
The
right, if
thumb.
you-
Tell them
if
what
you-
the thumb means.
Okay. Now, let me, I don't know if I can do this on, but, and we'll do this when we do the editing because I'll do screenshots. But if I have my camera on, okay. All right, let's see if I can, I don't know how to do this. You are not, if
Yeah,
I
they
put
can
my-
see that.
all right, if I put my finger in a spot, it will focus on that spot. Wherever I move my finger to is where it's going to pick up the focus. And then if I go outside that little box and I slide my finger up and down this way, if you notice outside the box, what it does is it changes the light. So you can control not only the exposure and how much light, you can also control where you want the iPhone to focus. You're going to tell it. So you hold it up here and you put your second finger, whatever finger you want, put it on the spot. In this case, she needed to put her thumb right on this tree. And that would have clarified the tree. And you know what? This is up here in infinity. It would have been clear anyway. It would have been a nice dreamy scape. It would have been fine.
What it does is it locks the focus.
Yeah.
And you actually, a little bar comes up and says focus locked, or it's actually initials, but that's what it means. And then you could take your hand off and the focus is locked at that spot until you do something to unlock it.
And you can move your finger then outside that box that you see where you focused and slide your finger up and down by pushing on the screen, and it changes the light. The light will go darker and lighter and darker and lighter as you go up and down. So this is what we could have done with you, and we didn't get to do that with you. So if you come out with us again and you just want to do one more of these dummy shoots, I think you're going to find that we're going to help you a lot doing that, especially now that we know what some of the problem was. All right, this is Stuart. Was this yours too?
Yes, that's mine.
Okay, thoughts about it. Who wants to go first? Ira? Harvey, are you there? Okay, don't know. Adrian?
Yeah. It almost was a silhouette when I first pulled it up on my screen, and I brightened it a little bit, and then I saw the green on the house and stuff like that. So it could have been a pretty picture of those houses that were in that row that were little painted houses. But as it is, it's like sort of in the middle, so it's like muddy. I don't know what other word to use. But the composition is nice, and it would have, if the light was right, it would have been a really pretty picture, but the light isn't right, or the way that the camera handled the light actually is not right.
Correct. Correct.
I do have a comment about this.
Right.
I like the greenhouse. The problem that in this picture, I think, is that you have too much extraneous information on the right side. And one thing that I've learned, if it's not essential to the photograph, get rid of it. So in my opinion, you have to crop off some of the right and accent the focal point, which should be the green.
Yeah, I actually did a lot of cropping. There was another house on the left, and I got rid of that.
Okay.
In thinking why I kept it this way is I like the little lights off on the right, the lights that are in front of the houses. But
And personally,
I understand what you're saying, and that makes a lot of sense.
I find those lights distracting.
Well, here's an interesting thing. You're right, because I looked at these two lights a lot. I edited this, Stuart, you were closer to the blue light here. You could have found it with editing. It was close.
Okay.
There is a little bit of noise, but there's not a lot of noise.
What is noise?
Noise? Oh God, how did we define noise?
It's artifacts in the picture. So it's little dots and squares and
Oh, okay.
it's artifact color. And you when you look at it, you go, oh yeah, that's noise.
I'll find one for you, and I'll show you one that's a little more obvious.
Very grainy look.
It's grainy.
Yeah,
Grainy.
grainy looking.
So I edited this, and here's my thinking about the lights. There are ways to. I wish there was a couple of more lights, and I wish these lights went all the way down the street. It would have gone with the linear line. I don't really mind the lights. I think if you crop this, let's just say we cropped it out. I got to move you out of the way. Let's see. So let's say that I think I've lost looking at the bottom. If we cropped it to take those lights out, went to here. I don't know that it lost something in that. I like the long linear line going down the street. I like
agree.
that. I like the diagonal. So I would have left it, but it was flat. I simply increased the contrast here. I dropped the highlights down to give me a little bit more blue light, and I increased the clarity and a little bit of denoise. I didn't do much to this, and basically the picture was there. It was really there. It's just, Stuart, we're going to do a little basic editing, and you're going to like it.
Yeah,
So-
I also think that, I mean, I also like the long line, the row of houses. I personally would just, once you learn how to do it, I would just soften the lights a little, you know, so they're not so white, but you still see them. I think the composition is really nice.
So do I.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say something too. And Adrian, this is something I'm going to show you in one of yours that you edited in a picture you have, and Leslie in one of yours. This picture, when I got it up here, this is shot at 2.8. The f-stop was 2.8.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it was wide open. Do you see these lights right here? These lights have no bursts or no glow.
Right.
They have nothing. They're flat. If you have a wide angle lens on this, and I believe you did.
I did.
If you had a wide angle lens on this and you moved your f-stop to f16, now the problem is then, obviously, now we talked about this, you're losing light. So that means your ISO would have had to go up higher, and that would have meant that you probably would have had to take out some noise. But had you done that, you would have gotten a burst mode of a starburst in these lights. Just remember I said that if you want to get a starburst in lights, you have to have your f-stop at f16 with a good wide angle lens or greater. Okay? Just something, and I'll show you later how this works.
I just want to say something before, because you are doing a little bit of editing here, and I wanted people to know. Anne's
Yeah.
using Lightroom. That's what this screen is. And I know a lot of you don't have Lightroom, and that's just fine, because we told everybody that we would going to be using Photoshop Elements primarily, and we are. And when you are editing in Photoshop Elements, you have an option when you open the file right at the beginning to open it in Camera Raw. Like right there at the drop down, it says open, and then it says open in Camera Raw. When you open a picture in Photoshop Elements, in Camera Raw, you get all of these same sliders that Anne's using in Lightroom.
Right. They're similar. Camera Raw is almost the twin program of Lightroom. Lightroom only has to do with how you file management and file your pictures, but that's it, and a view. But so basically speaking, yes, David, when he does this, one of the things we're going to stress is, aside from basic tools of sliders, is how to find Camera Raw and how to work those sliders, how to work denoise, how to work some of those other things. So
Yeah,
we're going to...
Just quickly, if I had this picture and opened it in Camera Raw, there's one slider, it's called Highlights, and it will bring down the brightness of that, so it's not so white.
It's right here, and this was where it was set, and that was the highlight slider.
I mean, there's also the white slider, and but But you can't play with that. And then there are also ways to actually add a starburst that are very easy.
Yep.
Those
Yep.
lampposts.
So those two things I just played with. There's the highlights, and here's the whites. Now I will only say one thing. When you try to drop things to get more blues, you tend to get noise. It's something that happens with blues. It's just a thing. So don't worry about it, but that's it. So let's go on. So here's another one. This is called Dusk on the Bay.
Yeah.
I believe this was Lorraine's. I think it had potential. It was closing into the blue light hour, but a little too soon, but close. But I think this was going, let's see, which way was this? This was going from the deck 84 across.
Yes.
Right.
So this was darker, and that's why that kind of almost worked. I think I played with a couple of edits with it. Or maybe Adrian, you might have.
I did.
Yeah, this was Adrian's edit on it. Adrian, you want to discuss briefly what you did with it to get that to happen?
Absolutely. But I also want to show people that those are the starbursts Ann was talking about.
And they are.
Okay, so this one was called Sunset over Del Rey.
I think it was Sunset on the Bay.
Dusk. Dusk on the Bay.
Dusk on
Okay.
the Bay. Dusk on the Bay.
All right. So I brought this in to get this to look like this. I brought it in with Camera Raw, so it's just a regular JPEG from your phone or your camera, whatever. But in Photoshop Elements, I went to File Open, and I opened it in Camera Raw, and that gave me all those sliders. And I just wrote down the sliders that I used because I thought people might want to know. I used the temperature slider towards the blue, just a little bit, not a lot. I decreased the exposure because it was really bright and I wanted to see what it would look like if it was a little darker. I increased the contrast. I increased the whites. I decreased because of the building, I decreased the blacks. I hit clarity, vibrance, and saturation. I just went all the way down and did a little to the right, a little to the left until I liked it. But then the most important one that I used was something called noise reduction and color noise reduction to take out the artifacts.
Right here on the Lightroom screen, which is the same in the Camera Raw filter.
Right. And then the last thing and then I opened it into the regular Photoshop Elements. And then there I was able to use something called haze reduction. And whether or not you think there's haze, in Florida, all of the air has moisture in it. So I use haze reduction, I think, on almost all my pictures, and it gives it this richer color. I don't know how to describe it, but when you see it, you know it. And then I cropped it a little bit. I cropped off a little of the bottom because I thought that green was a little distracting. And I cropped off some of the building because it wasn't giving me any information that I loved. And I mostly wanted, right, and that's how the original picture looked.
Here's the original. I'm going to say one thing about this edit for me, Adrian.
Uh-huh.
The only thing that bothers me is the lights and the glow coming off them are green.
Green, yes.
I don't like the green tinge. So
how do you get rid of that?
It's either in a color cast or you'd have to play around with the sliders and the temperature and the color cast and the tints. It's in there somehow.
Yeah, because you really want those to be white.
Yeah, see, that turns them a little more gold, but then if you want the cool, when you go to cool, you're going to bring, look what happens. You bring up the green. That's what happens. So the other way to do it is to maybe go, I don't know, I have to play, but it's a tough one.
If you have lights at night, sorry, go ahead.
Okay, I was just saying that there's a guided section, which makes things very easy on Photoshop Elements, where you can change the color cast.
Color casting, yep.
My question is, if you have lights at night, do you always want to have a starburst?
No, not necessarily. Now, for me, that's, you know what, this is a question, Doris, the same. You shoot a waterfall. Do you want the waterfall to be dreamy like cotton candy, or do you want to see all the drops? It comes down to what you love. So sometimes I know I have friends of mine that look at pictures and they hate the cotton candy look on a waterfall. Me, that's the only way I like to shoot moving water. You know, but so you would be, it's a yes or a no. It depends upon your personal pleasure.
Okay, thanks.
It's not a negative. It's not, oh, good, this is a better picture because it's got that. Not at all. Okay?
I think it's to what you're trying to convey. Like, what was that bridge? The bridge in Stewart that has all those lights.
Oh, the Roosevelt Bridge.
Right. So if you shoot it straight, it's a gorgeous bridge shot. If you shoot it so that you get the starburst, it looks like jewelry hanging in the sky. It's just a different look.
Yeah, very different. And we've shot it both ways. So my advice would be, if only with a wide angle lens, you've got to have a wide angle on it. And you've got to have your f-stop over 16. Shoot it both ways and see how you feel. All right. This one was called Holiday in Paradise. Is that the one we got?
Yes.
Okay. This is Holiday in Paradise. Take a shot at this one. Where we going, guys?
I love the
David?
reflection.
Yeah.
I love the diagonal and how it just sort of goes out into more stuff back there that you want to see, but you can't. And I just think the exposure is good. It's well seen.
Yeah, I think it's a really nice shot. I like seeing the restaurant up front with the green and the red, and I just think it's beautiful. I think if just waited a little longer till the sky was bluer, it would have really popped everything, and it would have also changed the reflection in the water to make those reflections really pop, as it is there.
Right.
There's the edit. So it didn't take a lot. It was right there. Just drop, as David said before, drop those highlights down, and there you get your blue come back up in the sky. I also increased the clarity here a little bit because I think this is now sharper. If you look at the two, in terms of what's happening with the reflection, I just wanted to sharpen it a little bit. And I think the difference, and I think the picture was great, but that would have made the difference of it just really, really getting out over the top, you know?
Well, let me throw this out. It's my favorite topic. The building on the left, do you think that belongs there?
I think the building on the left gives it perspective because of the light and the water coming down. It shows kind of it shows infinity. It shows what I call diminishing perspective, but it's showing it where it's coming to a head. So it doesn't bother me.
Okay.
I looked at it. I did look at that. And if we looked at it, you guys tell me, here we go. Let's say we do that. Let's say we take it in even more. Let's say we take it to here.
No, I agree with your first crop.
Okay, well, if that's was Mindy's crop. This was Mindy's crop. I
Right.
did not crop that.
No, he means when you took the building out.
Get rid of the building, period.
I'll just take the building out.
Right, because you get the diminishing perspective and yet it's not distracting the building, in my opinion.
Dave,
Yeah,
got a
that's
thought?
interesting because I like the building because it brings you sort of to the left a little bit more. And it shows you that it's a canal, not just the ocean, or something else. It shows you there's life on the left, as opposed to just ending. So I think in this case, I like that little building.
Dave?
It's so subjective. I would have cropped a little on the right.
Oh, funny.
Instead of the left, because I would have cropped to like the edge of the
dock.
The dock, so you got the feeling that the dock continued on and didn't end there. So, but that's just me.
And I probably, I don't know. I like the crop just as it is.
Yeah. I like those 2 extra trees.
I do. I like all the green. I like all the color in here. I hate to lose any of this. But yeah. So, but yes, crop is definitely in the eye of. So I think it's wonderful. I think the image is just lovely.
Now, could I just say something? You know how Anne was talking about putting your finger on the screen? I know this was shot with a phone, so I would have shot this 2 different exposures. I would have shot it with my finger on the right side so that the exposure was measured off of the restaurant. And then I would have shot it with my finger on the sky and made the sky a little darker just to see what would happen with that, because the phone would adapt the other part of the picture. And so I don't know the right words to use, but I probably would have done better with my finger on the sky, right when I shot it, as opposed to editing it later.
Yeah, I would say this. The only thing that I would play again, it's a cast. There's a greenish cast.
Yeah.
Plays right down to here. You can really see it here. And I might play with my editing skills and just maybe look at this again and try to maybe tweak that cast. But I think the picture is very well done. Good
Yeah.
see. It was patient lighting. So here's your original. It was kind of there. It just was sleeping in there. All right, I'd say it's a sleeper. It's there. All right, here we go. This one was postcard ready. Eileen, this was yours? Do I have Eileen there?
She should be there. Her name is still there.
Yeah, I have my mute on because I
All right. All right, Eileen, this was yours, right?
Yeah,
Okay, so,
doesn't look familiar right now, but yeah.
all right,
It says on the list, Eileen.
thoughts? Here it goes. Wait,
No, that one was, no, that's no.
it. That's it. This
The
is out of
darker,
order.
the darker one is mine.
Right, correct. Thank you. Here we go. So, Eileen, this was yours. That's why it didn't look familiar. Here we go. So, thoughts about this? Lacking the little bit of blue light. It was too soon.
Right.
Ready, but look at the starburst. It's in here, sort of here, not quite in here. It's more noise. I'm going to blow this up a little bit more.
But I think there are beautiful reflections in the water.
There are.
The colors in the water are beautiful.
And the edit to this, Adrian did this one. And I did that one. And the crop is different. The difference between them really, aside from the crop, is mine has a little more clarity, and I gave a little more detail left in here, where you see the detail in the leaves. Just a touch, but basically two different options of a crop on it. Eileen, you had a great picture in this. You just didn't play with it enough. It was there. Do you see it?
Yeah,
Do
yeah.
you see the difference in the editing? Just simple sliders. And that I know you normally do. So I would say that you got a shot that was really there. Just didn't play it out enough. And that was Adrian's and that was mine. It's very nice with the edits. Eileen, you good?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so let's go back to this other darker one. Similar shot. All right. And this one was Mindy's. This one was yours? No, who was this?
Leslie, me.
That's in
Leslie, okay.
Intercoastal at Sunset. Is that this one?
Yeah, that's mine.
Our thoughts.
Again, I love the reflection. I think it just, that's where my eye goes. It's absolutely beautiful. I love the kind of lines that the lights create and the color in the water. Two things. One is what everyone's been talking about, is just waiting a little longer till the sky was a little bluer. Unfortunately, there are clouds right behind the architecture. So, but I think I do think it's beautiful. The only thing that I would have done if I was editing is at the bottom of the screen right now, no, not that bottom, at the kind of overhang, that one light in the middle seems exceptionally bright. I would have just softened it a little.
Right here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so what I was looking for was, Leslie, look at the settings in here. Your ISO was at 10,000. You shot it at f4, so you didn't have that much more room to go to really lower your aperture anymore. You couldn't go any more wide open. Your shutter speed was about as slow as you're going to go to be handheld, which was 1/80th.
Was this a picture from my iPhone or my camera?
Let's see. Hang on.
What does it say?
We'll tell you in a second. Camera.
Oh, it was my camera. Okay.
Yeah, Sony.
I had the Sony on auto.
Right. So here's the thing, which was fine. It actually
Oh,
did
no,
okay.
I didn't. I had it on one of the preset programs. It
What's up?
said sunset.
Okay, it was all good, but I want to show you something. Because your ISO was at 10,000, and you can look to see what your ISO is after you shoot it. Do you see the noise?
No,
I'm going to try to blow it up even more. Can you see all the kind of speckles in it?
Yeah.
no, not on my screen. I can't.
Okay. Adrian, do you see it?
Yes,
David,
I
you
do see it.
Slightly.
Okay, so all I'm saying is that the difference in this, in my opinion, was just really noise. Looking to see your new camera, how it was doing. So if you were to go edit that a bit, I took the noise out. You know, and I adjusted the sky a little bit,
Yeah, no, yeah, it's very pretty with the
and I
blue
gave it a
stuff.
little clarity. So look at the difference between A
Yeah,
and the clarity right up in here. I did not take that hot spot out that David was talking about, which was right here.
yeah.
But you do have closer to the blue light. The sky is pretty. The other thing I did was I cropped a little off the bottom, which perhaps some people would say, don't have this dividing line here in the middle of the picture. You didn't. You had more reflection in the water, which is the cardinal rule. As we say, Dave will tell you how to break the rules. In this case, for me, I didn't want to take it off the sky, so I took a little bit off the water. I might have put that more in the sky, but so that was, somebody could say, well, you know what, this is in the middle. Yeah, it is. Okay, I agree. But
Yeah.
I think it's a better picture. But I think your camera did okay. So we got to work with you with noise
Okay.
and a couple of adjustments with the sliders, but the camera did okay. All righty. Eileen, we got you, and that was here. And now we're down to this one, which
That's
was
Donna's. It's rainbow over the Atlantic, over Atlantic.
right.
And it was an awesome looking cloud.
Yeah.
Wow.
I tried to take pictures of that too. They didn't really come out
David,
that.
I'm going to show them what you did. One of you was interested in coming out of the smokestack in terms of what you did with the cloud out of that, which was.
But it wasn't pink at that point.
No, it wasn't. It was a different one, but it was a fun thought. But so my thinking about this is I see there was an attempt at sort of framing the sky between the two palms, but I also see a lack of detail here in the palm. I don't see any detail in this at all. So I would say the focus was right up here. These were a little out of focus. I don't know. It's a tough thing. I think the colors are stunning. It has some noise, and you could take the noise out. But the noise isn't bad.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
pretty good.
I looked at it, and I think they did a good job with that. So this was shot with what? It was shot with
She
this
used a
is a
phone.
14 Pro. So, any other thoughts about how that could have been shot differently?
I don't know if she shot it this way or cropped it this way. So I don't know what
Yeah,
else is
I don't know
available.
either. I don't know either. I said the sky is beautiful. It was a good see. We
Yeah.
all were preoccupied with what was going on in that sky. It was off the wall. It really was. It was pretty. The blues are starting to come, but it's still pretty bright up here. Not quite ready yet. All right, and we have got a couple more, 3 more. We have this one. This one is red light in the night.
That's Mindy's.
Mindy's. Our thoughts?
I love the reflections.
Yeah, I love the reflections. I also love the angle. I like seeing the lights in the foreground on that pier and the bridge in the distance. If I'm looking at it correctly, the blue and the sky is pretty blue. And so I think with some tweaking, you get the blue light. But I think it's really interesting. I keep looking at it and I keep going further into it and seeing the bridge and whatever. I like it.
As I look at this more and more, and I've stared at it, I think this is definitely one of the better pictures of the group, and it happens to be something I really, really enjoy the composition in it. I think it's pretty with the clouds over here, offsetting the building, kind of like a juxtaposed kind of thing here. I love the little linear line here with the light peeking from behind here. The reflection, I think it's a very pretty picture.
Yeah.
So if the edit, there's the edit, which is just a little more blue.
Yeah, just a little bit more.
Yeah, not much.
Yeah, and the building just pops with the sunset on it.
Exactly. Look what it does with the building here. Now, I did take a little off the top. I did. A hair. You could put it back. You don't have to, but so that was it. Very nice, nicely done. I think what people were doing up here, Adrian, with you, with the group and your leadership on the water with the reflections was beautiful.
Yep.
Did well here. All right, so here we go. Let's get this in. All right, so this one was Red Sky at Night, Sailor's Delight.
That's Lorraine.
Yep. So here's the thing with this for me. I could not live with this. I just bothered me. So I went right after that. I had to take it out. And this is the remove tool.
Oh, wow.
Say goodbye. I took two things out. I took this one out and this one out. And then I adjusted with the same way we did the other ones, little noise, little sliders, but I'm going to show you some. This is we're working when we're editing with the smaller files you're sending us, which were lower resolution, smaller files with the 2100. So if you look at this, you notice there's a halo here.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a little bit, I can see the halo. You see the lighter around it? If I blow it up, maybe you can see it more.
Yeah.
Right here, you see it here? So this was already tweaked and it was already played with. You see the different colors in here and there's noise up here in the sky. So I didn't have the original. It's how it was edited to begin with, that the person doing the editing didn't blow this up to look at some of that. So I couldn't take that halo out. But so when you see the edit and we try to drop the blues, now you're going to really see that
more. Yeah.
And that's what it does. If you don't watch what you're doing with the blues when you edit, that's part of it. But it's much better without the antenna sticking out there. And there we gave a really nice horizon there. So, and then we have this one. And I would say very, very pretty picture. Crooked horizon, sunrise over Del Rey. And I'm like, where's the blue, Leslie? There
was no blue.
However, looking at
the shot.
Yes, looking at your camera, and I started laughing. I said, there it is. So my edit of this, I found blue, believe it or not.
Oh, there it is.
I had to work. It wasn't what I would call blue light, but it got closer. And I fixed the horizon.
That edit.
Yeah. And there's something else, Leslie, which I will tell you. If you make a note of it, I will show you where it is. When I straightened the horizon, one of the buildings came in, and I can't show it to you now, but one of the buildings came in straight and the other one was still a little crooked. So I used the transform tool, which is in Photoshop Elements.
Yeah.
And what it does is it straightened both of these out.
Oh, cool.
So, and I gave you a little bit more of the blue light, but that was really reaching, Leslie, for that blue light.
I just want to say something to the whole
group. I couldn't find it. I'm glad you did.
Okay, to the whole group. Please, when you're submitting pictures that you want to be reviewed, try to make them as good as you can make them. So sending in a picture with a slanted horizon line, that's not as good as you can make it. That's an easy fix. Otherwise, the people that are reviewing it, I mean, I get totally hung up on crooked horizons. That's just me. So it spoils the picture for me.
Wait, put it back to the original that I sent.
Yes, ma'am. Here you go.
What was the? Oh,
I'm going to also show you the noise.
I really noticed that the horizon was crooked.
Yes, so you gotta look.
Now
But look
that I see the
also.
correction, I see, but.
All right, guys, this is noise. Do you see this?
Yes.
Yes.
This is
Blotchy.
noise. Same settings as you had before. This is ISO is 8,000. You want to take the noise out. So I did take the noise out. And that was also one of the ways when you take the noise out, kind of gives you back your blue. Because when you have the noise, it becomes more gray. The
I
blue
couldn't,
gives-
I couldn't
it's blue.
figure out, well, on a different picture that where the horizon was obviously crooked. Not on this one, not as much for me anyway, but I couldn't figure out on Photoshop Elements, since I'm new to Photoshop Elements, how to straighten the horizon.
All right,
Okay,
so
go to-
Dave,
I kept my
Dave, when you do
picture
your
kept
Photoshop
rotating
elements,
all
Dave,
the
you're gonna do that one? Do
Yes.
I'm going
Wait.
to announce it right now for everybody. So you go to image, rotate, and you choose custom, and it gives you how many degrees you want to tip it, right or left.
I have
There's
no
an-
idea how many
actually an
degrees.
easier way.
There's an easier
Oh,
way.
you're
Go
going to
ahead,
tell me
Dave.
about the line? I don't like the line.
But there,
Is there an
the
easier
tool,
way than the degree?
the tool, just you go across the horizon and it straightens it up.
Watch.
Yeah.
So let's just say I'm gonna before I do this, okay? I'm not
So
gonna do
you're in basics now, right?
it's the same in Camera Raw and the filters that she was talking about. If I draw a line right across here,
Yeah.
now let's say I draw this line up like this. Wait a minute, hang on. All right, let's go back in again. I'm gonna twist this.
David,
So you-
isn't this,
that's-
is this in the guided?
in the crop? In the crop.
No, it's in.
All right, so there's a crooked
I
shot,
think it's
right?
also in guided,
Yeah, I think it's in guided, Leslie. You might
Right.
just try that.
Oh, it's
But
in
but
guided
it's
too?
also on the regular.
Yeah, no, I know that. I'm just wondering
Yeah.
whether it was also in guided.
So here's a crooked. All
But I
right.
like that.
If that's a crooked, you go find a little line on the
Yeah.
camera raw in the camera
Yeah.
raw filter, and you just do this, and bang, done.
Oh, so you just trace along the line
Yeah.
that you
Yeah.
want,
Yeah.
and it automatically does it for you?
Yes. And
Oh,
it's
cool.
not in
Okay.
the camera raw filters. It's in the regular tools
Oh,
that are
okay.
on the left side.
It's in both, Dave. It's in there too.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
It's in there too.
I wanted to ask about the best way to denoise, because I found denoise under filter and I used that. Do you have a better way?
So
When
in
you-
Photoshop Elements, I do think that in Camera Raw, after you go through the sliders of the vibrance and the color and the highlights and all that, at the bottom, there's two noise controls. One is regular noise control and one is color noise control. Sometimes
Here they are right here. Do you see this? It says luminance
Yeah.
and color. It's under detail, but it's a little bit different in the camera raw filter, but it's the same thing. And if I turn around and I do this, it'll adjust one way. And if I take the color noise out, it adjusts another way.
But just
So-
in Photoshop Elements, it's just called noise. It's not called luminance. It's just
Right.
called noise or color noise.
So nobody uses the denoise under filters?
I do, but I think the noise and when I bring it in under camera raw, it works better. It's
Okay.
more
does.
powerful.
Doris, there's no question that it is better when you do what Adrian and David are saying. But let me say this. Those of you who are working without a lot of resolution or with tight, or when you cropped a lot of your pixels out, there is a program called Topaz Photo AI. And what that does is fabulous with noise, fabulous with sharpness, fabulous with enhancements. It'll double your pixels. It does a lot more than just noise. And it's a good program to use in conjunction with Photoshop Elements. So those of you who want to take another step up with one more tool in your arsenal, Topaz Photo AI is the way to go.
I love that program.
Absolutely. I
I
use it all
just
the
got
time.
it and I just got it and it's great.
It's fabulous.
Especially if you're using a phone and you have limited control of all this stuff.
Right. You don't have enough pixels. You're cropping, and then now all you started with 12 megapixels, and now you're down to 7. Guess what? You got a problem. So this will double or triple the resolution of that picture for you. So it does a whole bunch of things, but boy, is it good with noise, and so is these sliders that we're talking about that are in Camera Raw and that are also in the Lightroom that I'm using. They're the same. They work. They don't work as well, and they only do one thing. They just do noise. Okay, so they don't give you the tack sharp sometimes you get from the other. So when we do editing, that's something for you to make a note about, and then we'd have to show you how to load it and how to do that. Last one. This was called Sword in the Sky. Good C.
It's Donna.
So this is Donna, and I would say, Ira, do you feel that the bottom part of that crop has any value?
No.
Right. So
Thank
Ira
you.
and I would both be on the same page here. We'd get rid of that bottom part.
Agree.
It does nothing. So the edit for here, all I simply did was take the noise out, and I took the crop out of the bottom. Now, Ira played with it more. The first one he gave me back was this one. And I said, Ira, it's abstract and fun. Notice the pixels are created here. See the square? This is what it did. But anyway, I like that image as an abstract, but I would say to this group, don't try to use filters to abstract bad pictures. Don't do it. Okay, don't try to hide what should have happened. But Ira did do this one. Ira, how did you do that? Filter?
Yes.
I love that one.
Yeah.
I think it's outrageous. I think it's a lot of fun.
Thank
Very
you.
nice.
Yeah, so that you could have, and actually this was a really good C. Take the noise out of it, now have some fun playing, and now this is how you kind of go there.
This almost looks like there's a body in there. It's
It was like a dragon tail. I don't know what that is.
I see someone like diving in. It's beautiful.
Oh, yeah, I see it.
So I'm going to go through some of these. This is what Adrian shot, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on them, but we were with you. These are the pictures. I'll tell you the ones that we shot that night. So Adrian shot this. And Adrian, here I was going to say to you, if you wanted to go with a wide angle, you might have gotten a burst of lights. This was shot at another time, another place at a balloon fest. That is a very difficult shoot. Hot air balloons at night with blue light is fabulous, but you've got flame and you've got darkness, and you still want to protect, and you got a little silhouette action going on in here with shadows. It is wild. That's a fabulous shot. This one I know that Adrian shot the night that we were at the fair, and go to the fair, it's coming up in January. Go to the fairgrounds in West Palm, and then you'll get wait and go there in the late afternoon and wait for the blue light. This was one that David shot when we were together by the church. This is part of the church. I'll show you where it is. This was the church. See it up here? Now, David went into it at a different angle, and he isolated about that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
That's called,
Love that shot.
yeah, the focus is not blue light, but look at the lighting here. Look
Yeah.
what happened when the lights came on in the church from down below, and then you could shoot
Gorgeous.
up. So that's why patience, when you're looking for blue light, you've got to be patient. Then he did this, and I laughed.
Huh.
There's the sky shot with one of the crazy clouds, but he made it come out of the chimney. Just kept moving around till he got it. I'm saying that is a typical David.
Yeah.
Where was that church?
So
Church is right, David. Where is it? It's between Deck 84 and
and the next block.
the next block, going
Going
towards
south?
Deck 84.
Going
Going in which direction from
Oh,
Deck
going-
84?
going
South,
It
deeper into the neighborhood, right?
It's a block
south-
west
south
of Deck
of Atlantic?
84, and it's about a block south,
Right.
2 blocks
Okay.
south. It's back in there. You can't miss it. Look for the
And-
steeple.
just for, not that it would do anything with blue light, but at night they have beautiful stained glass doors
Yep.
that light up that are just gorgeous.
We
I mean,
saw it when the light
there's
was
a lot to
flat.
shoot there.
Then they started playing, Oh Holy Night came out and they had all the stained glass lit up. It was
Oh,
gorgeous.
wow.
But you guys were on the dinner line.
Eh,
This is another shot of David's, another time, another place, little vignette around the outside. Architectural. There's the architecture. Here's architecture. There's architecture. And this is another one. Most interesting. Tells a bit of a story. Blue light. Look at that red that just
and the
popped.
red, yeah.
Yeah, very cool. Look at the angles and the triangles in this little squares and the patterns. Great shot. This is soft. Look at the little flame. Look at that. Awesome. Great
Love
color.
the colors are gorgeous.
Yeah, little blue light.
Rainbow Row in Charleston.
Beautiful.
Mhm.
And this, Dave shot this
Oh,
at the
wait, I
fair.
have a question.
Yes,
Can you just go back one, please?
I can.
Okay, so have you ever considered using the delete tool or remove tool and take out that wire coming from the right side from the lantern?
I
Yeah.
would.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could. And at the bottom too, actually.
Yeah, I would too. And I might even use a clone stamp tool and just straighten this head right here.
Hmm.
That would be me because I'm just obsessive compulsive. So that would be me.
Yeah.
We know that about me. That's who I am. This is another shot at the fair. This is a good challenge for you. Try to go get something like this with the ride moving through the air and then see whether you can actually capture the people or not. But that's almost blue light. It is blue light. It was almost at night. It's cool.
If you decide to go to the fair, on our YouTube, the Adrian Bergen YouTube channel, there's the review session from when we went to the fair, and you could go and look at how some of us handled the pictures up there.
Yeah. This is what I shot. I did not take the time yet to take this out. I will just use a remove tool and make it go away. But again, architecture and blue light. We waited. Now, this was something that I found interesting. David and I both walked around both sides of the church. And this was the light that was brighter heading back towards town, which was where the sun was setting. So there was more light in the sky there. And what I simply did was just took the steeple and just made this into a silhouette and then just deepened this light in between. This was all white light, white, gray, blue light, and I just made it darker. So simple lines, very simple. And this was when I get bored, I do a lot of IC. That's from the bridge. This is deck 84. This is what's
Wow.
going on at the end of the canal. And it's abstract. It's total abstract. But it's slow shutter speed. And this was at the fair. This was my shot at the fair. I saw the moon coming through with the people going up in the car and the little Ferris wheel and stalked it and waited for the car to go to get the light where I wanted it. This was handheld in Africa.
That's
Pretty.
Wow.
Gorgeous.
gorgeous.
And that's that was just a matter of manipulation, dropping the shutter and holding it still as it could on the back of the seat of the truck. This was off a tripod. Now, this because my shutter speed was so slow, I believe, let me just see what I was on it. No, it's not going to give it to me here because it's another edit. But anyway, that's Motorola in Cinque Terre. But so you're looking to kind of capture this and get clarity and also get the blue light. So I climbed with the backpack, the tripod, all the gear, and it took me an hour to get up on the other side to get exactly where I wanted to be to wait for the light. And then you wait.
Did you put the moon in there?
That was my question.
This moon I put in there, I did put this moon in and I had a moon in it. The moon was more like this and I didn't care for it. It went under clouds. So it just wasn't clear. So I did put the moon in there. Yeah, but it was my moon from another shot.
Okay.
I
then
did
it's
not.
okay.
I was thinking, how lucky could you have been to get that shot?
Well, if you saw the original does have the moon in it. Yeah. Yeah. This one,
Ooh,
Uh,
look at that.
that's on Del Rey on the beach. And yes, people would say, you got to get out. The lightning's coming. And no, I don't leave. That was me. And I stood out there with my rain jacket on and prayed. That's a very slow shutter. That my shutter speed. That was 30 seconds on a tripod.
Did you ever use a monopod?
Yes. Not for this as much, but I have. But that's 30 seconds. So what happens is you get a lot of flashes, and that way you get all the combined light in 30 seconds, all in one shot.
Wow.
This is blue light. And that one, I was a half a second with that. I was 0.5 on the seconds on that. Very slow. That's why I used the tripod. So I didn't have to worry about noise because I could drop my shutter speed. And that was the last one that I have that I shot on a tripod. Blue light in Toronto, up in Canada somewhere.
Pretty.
It was. But again, the reflections. But going back to what I said to you before, I like blurred cotton candy looks. You notice that my bay water here is flat with the reflection, and that's because I shot this at 13 seconds. So it blurs the water. And so that's why you need a tripod. If you want to do that kind of work, that's a tripod. This was a handheld. This was handheld. This was handheld.
And you're talking very loud, so your voice people to do. I didn't know anything.
So anyway, that's the deal. So that's what we have. Now, questions. David and I are willing to go out. Adrian's willing to go out. We're going to go out one more time and try to give you some of our same focal points and work with you on settings. Does anybody want to go to that? Adrian will put out a night when we're going to go.
Okay. We'll
And
do that.
Yes.
And we'll work.
Mindy, did you have a question or are you just saying you wanted to do that? Okay.
Yes, I wanted to do that.
Okay.
Yeah,
great.
I
All
would
right.
do that. I
Okay.
would
I'll send
definitely
that
do
out to
that.
everybody.
I have a question.
Go.
In the video that I watched from Anne, she talked about handouts. Are those available anyplace else for people who've come along later?
What about I have a handout for changing the reformatting the picture, but what else did we have handouts for?
I think that might have been
Handouts
it.
for every.
They're all in a file on my computer. So just tell me what you want, what you're looking for, and I'll dig them up.
Okay.
Yeah, not a problem.
Yeah.
I just wanted to
Barb, maybe you'll come down and join us that night, and we can all take turns kind of working with people and
Okay.
bringing us what they've got.
Okay, I have a question.
go.
No.
Why is it so important to be there for the blue light if you can make blue light with your editing?
Oh, it's not the same.
Or switch out the sky?
Okay, so here's why. One, in order for you to edit to make the light become more blue light, you have to isolate the sky, and you've got two different things. You've got light on the bottom in your subject, and you have the sky. So now you have to kind of separate them because you don't have it all together. Number one. So if you darken the sky, then you darken the bottom and you darken the subject. So you have to kind of play now, and it's more editing. Two, why edit when you don't have to edit? But you're right, you could edit, but what it does is it gives you halos. And I'm going to show you some. So watch this for a second. If I show you, this is really kind of a good way to go. Let me see if I can show it to you. If you look at this, there's no halo on this shot because this shot was taken together. I did not edit the sky differently and apart from that. Okay. If you look at one that might have, okay, let me blow this up. Hold on. It doesn't want to do it that way. Do you see the halo?
Yeah.
That's because I had to edit that separately. The blue light. So when you sometimes try to edit, and I'm looking for another one, that that we did edit to make a little more blue. Let's go to this. Let's go to, or maybe it's in this one. No, this one was all taken together. There's no halo. You wind up with, oh, sorry about that. Stop that. I'm going back to one of the other ones that were here.
You get a halo because your selection is not perfect?
Well, here, it's not a matter of the selection, but sometimes when you select it, there are telltale signs. Like this is a telltale sign. That is a telltale sign. I would look at that immediately and know that that was doctored and that was somebody played with it and didn't play with the whole thing with it. It's not a healthy edit. So basically, Doris, if you can come away with doing it without giving it away, but frequently when you do that, if you try to just drop the light down in the sky, you've also got to make a ton of adjustments in your subject matter because all the light's going to change. And then you have to change white balance and balance the two out. So those shots that I showed you of Manarola and those shots, you had to pay the dues and drag the tripod and do the slow shutter speed if you really want to have, like right away, you said to me that the moon, you could tell. But my original one of that has the moon in it, you could never tell. Because the moon was all part of the same picture. So there are telltale signs that basically at the higher levels, people will look and they'll pick it up right away. You know, I know when I put things into the art of photography, I'll have somebody like a Lynn Mass that'll turn around and say, "And I noticed there's an edge right here," and
Right.
and she's absolutely
Got
right.
me.
Yeah, but what she's saying is that fix it, and then it becomes a very difficult task to fix it. A lot of times the program Anthropics does things and it will just give you a touch of a hair of a hint. You kind of know. Look at puppy. So you're right. You can get it that way. And I would say this to you, Doris, you do the best you can to get it in the perfect condition you can get it in. And if you can't, and it doesn't all line up, then that's when you edit. You use your edit tools to try to create what you need to see for your own intent. I
Thank
don't know
you.
if that makes any sense.
Any other questions? Before we break up, I just want to notify you if you did not see the email that I sent out. I sent out an email with a lot of dates on it. There's a date for an info session for the people that are going to the rodeo so that Anne, who's been there before, can familiarize us before we get there of how to handle ourselves when we are there and how to handle our cameras and whatever little things she thinks are going to be helpful. On the 24th of January, there's a mentoring session for anybody that's going to enter the show at a beginner or novice level. So read that. And there's also the January 25th, that's the trip to the rodeo, but it's also the date for your theme submissions for January, which is fashion. And you can do anything you want with fashion. I mean, anything. You could take a picture of a button. I don't care. It's just anything that has to do with that subject. We're planning 2 element sessions. We just have to nail the dates down. Dave's going to help us with that, and we'll go over some of the things we talked about today. Anne kept referring to that. Like when you do the element session, we're going to bring images in through Camera Raw, show you the difference, show you how to take things out of a picture, some simple things. And if there's anything that you know that you think we should include, could you please send me an email so we make sure we get it? And this Wednesday night, if you didn't already sign up for it, I think I'm recommending it. The Art of Photography is having a session on taking a picture from origin through the edits to a final. And I went to the last one they did, and it was wonderful. I think there were like 6 or 7 photographers that did that and just showed you some simple things that they did that took the pictures just from simple to spectacular with editing. And we're going to do one like that also. We'll do that probably in March, but we're all going to take a couple of pictures and show you how that goes. If there's anything that you think that you'd love to do, let me know. Okay. Thank you all for coming.
You.
Leslie, you have something, you're on mute.
Yes, okay. Remember last year you had sent out like a spreadsheet you had of everybody's points?
Yes.
Would you mind resending that?
Yeah,
so
that's going to
everybody
go
knows
out.
where they
That I didn't
stand?
mention that, Stuart. What we do is, and you'll see that from the explanation when you asked before, people place themselves in their first show where they think they belong, and there's a description of why you would be at that level. And then after that, you get these points, and the points accumulate. And we let the points accumulate for 3 shows, and that moves you from place to place. That's how you move up the levels. And you have the right that if we move you up and you think I don't really belong there, I'm not comfortable, that's fine. We just put you down again. But it's how we move people around. So
Adrian,
that's all described. Yeah,
yeah, one point. I wasn't here for most of the session. Sorry.
that's
But as
okay.
far as moving up in our show,
Yeah,
don't be afraid to move up a level. If you have the points, move up. Your photography will improve. I guarantee it. You're going to work to keep up with those already at that level. It's going to help you.
good.
Don't be
You
afraid.
you may decide to move up if you don't have the points. You may start at one level, and we know that there are a couple of you that I know that you don't belong at that level. You really belong at a higher level because you're doing higher level work. So jump.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And the last final thing is for the event, we have one winner each time because it's a smaller number of pictures. And the winner this time is Mindy with Holiday in Paradise. That was the one with all the lights on the Intercoastal and Deck
Good
84.
job.
Okay.
you.
Thank you,
Was this-
everybody.
Congratulations.
Was this
you.
helpful for most of you? This was helpful. Did we get a little
Yes.
more out of this?
Good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Bye-bye.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you,
Bye.
everybody.